Good evening, everybody. It is Friday night, April 21st, and we are here to do our Friday night update.
Oh, greetings from Cleveland and Florida.
Who's in Cleveland?
That is James, right?
Ah, James Collins. That's
Yes.
right. Very good. All right, I'm ready. All right, so a little housekeeping. Again, we're kind of noticing a little bit of anxiety from some of you on our Facebook page, and that's got to stop. So the other issue is, let's calm down, right? Because this is a process. It's not an event. And if we've got to keep coming on and reminding you that this is how we have to go with this, I'm gonna have to keep saying it. This is going to take some time, because you have to remember the city's goal, the union's goal, the mayor's goal, Etna's goal is to roll out this plan like the last time. Our goal is to stop it in its tracks and bury it 6 feet under, and put a stone there, and that way it doesn't ever get up again. But that is a process. It takes time, it takes evidence, documentation, all things that we're doing. The one thing that you can do that will harm us is putting information out there where other people can see it that are not necessarily on our side. I know that, with the great organization that we built of this team, that we've created this safe space for you, and you feel comfortable here, which is a beautiful thing. I don't ever want to detract from that, because we built a family, right? But there are people amongst us that are not friendly. And while we can't always depict them, or they lurk behind the scenes, they are looking for things that you are doing to help them stop what we are doing. So when you post online, when you post online that the phone calls that you made, or the doctors that you called, or that type of information, you are exposing information that can potentially be used against you. Let's not do that. If you have something important to say, like something that you heard or said, or was said to you at an Etna seminar, or from a phone call that you made, please email the organization. Michelle gets those emails. Don't inundate her with trivial BS, like important information that you feel might have an impact on the case. Because remember, there's like almost 25,000 of us here, plus there's like another 20-something thousand people on email. I mean, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. So I'm sure Michelle would love to hear from you, as so would I, but I still have 2,300 emails to get to, 86 text messages, and I can't even look at all of my messenger messages. And it gets overwhelming, where we want to give you all the attention, but it gets to be a lot for just one person. And my circle of friends keep yelling at me that I am online too much or working too much, as is Michelle and such. So think about that for one moment. Do not post information about the case, about your doctors, about Etna phone calls. If you have information that you think is important, please email the org, retirees@nycretirees.org. It's super simple. The other important thing is, it's very important that you register for our emails. That is very, very important. We need to be able to get in touch with you, especially on short notice, where you might not always see a post or a messenger, messenger message, especially if we're not connected as friends, okay? So protecting us, protect the organization, protect each other. The other thing is, while we also know that you may be having some anxiety over what's happening, please refrain from calling the city and exposing to them what you've identified as a weakness, because then you are giving them the opportunity to fix that weakness. We're not looking to help anybody. We're looking to help ourselves. They were looking to screw us. Please don't help them. We also said to you last week, Etna sent you a package of information that was one for you and one package for your doctor. Do not do their job for them. They are asking you to do the outreach to your doctor to get them to connect with Etna. Let Etna do that work because that is Etna's job. That's not your job. So do me a favor. Do not do that process at all. That is not your job. And unless they're giving you a commission, put that package away. Don't throw it away, just put it away. That crystal clear? Another thing, we have made several phone calls to Etna. They will call and I'll say, can you please give us your name and phone number for protection of your account? And I'll go, I'm not an Etna customer. I don't have an account. Hi, my name is Marianne. Well, I just need your last name. No, you don't. I just have a question. I'm just here to ask you a question. Now they're going to pressure you. I wouldn't fall for that shit. Don't give them your name. There's no reason to. You want to be Wilma, be Wilma. So be Betty, be Fred. I don't care who you are. You don't have to give them your name. There's no reason to do that. Doctor information. So also, that's another good thing. Don't give them your doctor information if you don't have to. There's a website tool. Open the tool. If you need help, we'll be glad to help you go into the tool and look and see if your doctor is there. You don't need to call them to confirm it. They're just going to look on the tool themselves. So look up the doctor. If it's not there, take a picture of the screen and prove that it's not there. Don't do their job for them. This was supposed to be theirs. They had promised the city that they would have done this rollout ahead of introducing the plan. Don't do their job. So, the last thing on that part is attorney-client privilege. Whenever you speak with the lawyers, you never, ever repeat the information of the conversation that you had with the attorneys. Period. Hard stop. Never share online, in an email, in a phone call. You take that to the grave. That is your attorney-client privilege. You do not speak to anyone about what you discussed with any of the lawyers. You don't post it. You don't share it. You don't skywrite it. Nothing. This is another area where you will impact our case in a negative way. I can't stress that enough. The moderators had to remove information off the board. That must stop. So if you continue to do that, the moderators will put you on post approval. That is coming directly from our board. Do not share lawyer information anywhere. If you have a question, you can email Michelle or myself. We would be glad to help you, or you can call the attorney back and speak to them. Please do not post that. Do not share it with anyone. That must end. Am I missing anything?
No, I think you got it.
So.
City of New York. The City of New York, Etna Medicare Advantage PPO. Well, on Etna's own documents, they do refer to this plan as the City of New York, Etna Medicare Advantage PPO. It is the City of New York, Etna Medicare Advantage PPO plan with an extended service area, or ESA for short, but you don't have to say that because it's pretty much understood, or you can say it. I don't really care what you do, but it is a City of New York, Etna Medicare Advantage PPO, or you can say it's an Etna Medicare Advantage PPO for City of New York. Still, it's on their documents. They can't deny that it is a City of New York plan. Next item, and this is the last one that I have. Actually, I have two more. Affidavits. So we put up two links. I'm almost not worried about the first link anymore. The most recent, it'll say April 2023 affidavit information. That link is very, very brief. It doesn't go into any in-depth information. We are looking for very specific criteria. Please answer that. Do that this weekend. Pass it and share it with your friends. We will also put it out in an email. We would like that most recent one done, please, because that will now help expedite the process to litigation. And And that is still coming soon. But again, we need to dot our I's and cross our T's and make sure that everything is in place so that we have a really solid case going forward. The more information that we give to the lawyers, the better our case is. And the more convincing it will be to the judge when it finally gets before him. So I know there was one more thing I had, and I think it fell out of my brain. I don't remember it. We covered a lot of territory in like the last 20 minutes. So what else we got? Anything else?
Yeah, so,
ahead.
well, so again, all the information that you guys have been sending me via, what do you call it? Via email has been incredible. So, thank you. Thank you so much. So, we talk about, people who do not like to who have very negative things to say. And, we talk about snitches and, people who try to sway others. And we have people on this page who, act as though, they are with us, who actually say negative things against us on other pages. So,
You don't say.
oh, tell me about it, and actually,
Based.
yeah, it really, I just don't get it. There's a particular, I just don't,
There's just a lot of people trying to hurt our mission, and I don't want you feeding into that, I think, is the short part of what Michelle's
Right.
trying to say to you. So the
Right.
least on that subject that you post, the better it will be, because there are detractors that want to stop what we're doing. And we've really come a long way. And we have you to be thankful for that, because you've done a lot of work to get us here. So be careful what you do say, because like we said before, people are looking to use it against us.
Well, right. And again, there was, there's, actually there's somebody that's active on our page right now. And I'm reading some information, speaking to somebody else on a different page about, speaking about you and spreading anxiety and how we lie and, and misconceptions and, and that urging people to, that we just don't like change. And, listen, we fact checked everything. We fact checked everything. And, I'm not going to be rude and mention the name of this person, but we will be removing this person very, very shortly after we finish this live. So
You'll have to fill me in on that.
Was that
and
so?
listen, this just came over to me like 2 minutes ago. Right. So,
Nope,
but
totally
it just
get
goes right, but it just goes to show you, it's, and then they lure people, who are so, and this is the perfect example, these people are severely stressed, and this person spoke to this other person, and, and they fed into their fear. And
that's another thing. Let's clear up fear. That's an important subject. So a couple weeks ago, was it last week? It was probably last week, right? With that video, with the messaging. So last week there was a message that came across while I think we were doing this live, that there was someone looking to sell Medigap plans using a logo of a union organization. And we were not sure, when I think we even said it in the meeting, that we were not sure whether or not that it was a ploy by that union, or just an aggressive sales tactic by the organization, by that salesperson. So people will see this vulnerability, right? And they see that there's a large contingency of people that could potentially be a customer, and they are looking to make money because that's their job, right? I mean, if you're a good worker, or you have your own company, you have your own business, you sell insurance, your job is to sell. They're going to want to sell you a policy because they realize that you're being screwed and they're going to take advantage of your fear. I'm not necessarily saying that that may have been or may not have been that person's agenda, but I do want you to know that these types of people do exist. Our messaging to you is this: Aetna and the city and the unions have to go forward with implementing this Medicare Advantage plan like it's going to happen. And someone said to Michelle today that someone at a Aetna seminar said that the plan was a done deal. There's nothing done deal about this plan. So, and that's what they said the last time, and we stopped that shit right in its tracks. So I do want you to know, we have no guarantees to give you in life. We do know that we have a good case ahead of us, but again, it falls upon a judge who could make a decision. That's why you also have appeals courts, that sometimes they don't always agree with what happens. And sometimes things get overturned on appeal, like we've also seen in other cases. Fortunately for us, not only have we won every time in Supreme Court, we've also had our appeals case won as well. So you need to know that we are working as hard as we possibly can to make sure that you are protected and that the lawyers have everything that they possibly need for an injunction, temporary restraining order to stop this rollout. And that will probably will come, we're going to file both of those and hopefully that gets granted. In the meantime, Aetna is still going to be moving like this plan is going to happen, and so is the city. What you have to do is do your due diligence and make sure that whatever happens between now and that time of the end of the opt-out, that you are doing your homework. You are calling your doctors. You are calling the hospitals. You are determining whether they are in network for Aetna Medicare Advantage, PPO for City of New York retirees, or they are not. You also have to determine, do I want to waive my city health benefits and take Medicare traditional and purchase a supplement and know that all of the things that go with that you lose your reimbursement, that you might be in one of those unions that might lose your welfare fund benefits, or some of them. Do you even know? Those are phone calls you should be making, because you need to know all of the answers and be prepared in case either we don't get the TRO or we lose the case. So you have to do that due diligence. I know you have a lot of faith in us and we totally appreciate that. But we also want you to be ready for plan B in case it comes up to the deadline and we don't yet have an answer for you. We will then, like the last time, I think we had 2 weeks left, Michelle.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks.
Like 2 weeks, and we had to hurry up and get everybody to opt out that didn't want to go into the Medicare Advantage plan to then waive, opt out and go into, agree to it that they were going to pay. You need to do that. Don't pull the plug. Do not. But do the homework as to what that would look like. Know that if the worst case scenario came, you need to know what you would have to do when we come back online and say, look, we tried, we didn't get granted it, or they denied it, or whatever, or they approved it and they appealed it, whatever happens. Just plan B is, what would you do in the worst case scenario? And you should be looking at doing that. You need to ask those questions like, hey, Mr. Insurance Guy, if I wanted to purchase a Medigap plan, but I wouldn't know until the last minute, even though I go through this underwriting procedure, and that's underwriting is when they take things into consideration like your age and where you live and your medical history, and it could take several months to do that process, right? You need to know if I start this process to see what that would look like. Am I able to hit pause or cancel it without any financial penalty to me? And how long would that process take? Don't do anything. We're begging you not to do anything yet. We're asking you to find out the answers so that you know if the worst case scenario happened, we're going to give you an order to say, worst case scenario, sorry guys, man, plan B, implement plan B. You need to be ready for that. And you have
Right.
enough time to do that.
Right. It's go time. It'll be go time. And that's what we'll tell you. And just then you'll have all your ducks in order. And then, And
Yeah,
that's,
and we want you to be prepared. We're gonna keep doing what we have to do to make sure that that day never happens. But in case it does, because what do they say? The only thing that's guaranteed is death and taxes, right?
yeah, right?
So we can't guarantee you we're gonna be successful, and knock on wood, we're gonna be successful, but we need you to have gathered all of the information you can possibly gather. And just set it aside. Know what you have to do when we say, Plan B, guys, let's go forward. Know that we're still fighting, but you now have a difficult decision to make. Know what those answers are. You have any questions? Are there questions you're pulling in the chat?
Yeah, so, for somebody just said, what happens if we don't have options? We are working on with a few people with issues of that nature. So we will have, we'll
What do they
have,
mean by options?
if they don't have options,
What do you mean by they don't have options? What does that mean?
if they don't have options, I guess. All right,
Define to me what not an option is. An option for what?
all right. So Michelle last asked that. So Michelle, what do you mean by they don't have an option? Let me see if she answers.
Yes, Jean, temporary restraining order, TRO, means everything gets paused. Yes, we do believe our case will be going before the same judge, since it's basically a continuation. At least I believe that is the case.
Oh, Michelle says she can't get a Medigap.
So if you are a person that cannot get a Medigap, you are going to be told that by an insurance person, an insurance broker. You then need to send an email to Michelle, and you also need to do that affidavit request link that we put up in the featured section. Yes, Lenny, thanks for reminding me. If one opts out, will there be a spouse? Will the spouse and kids lose coverage? That makes it hard to opt out if they do. And the answer to that is, if you waive your city health benefits, the answer to that is yes, you've waived your city health benefits for your entire family. And actually, Michelle, make a note of that, because we actually do have to remind, we need to bring that up in the larger conversation to remember that that is also a penalty. But yes, that is the case. And you also need to make sure that you do also acknowledge the loss of welfare fund benefits on the family level as well, if you're losing those, and or just drug coverage, depending on what union you're in. We found another, is anyone here from CSA? Because I think CSA is also one of those that their welfare fund benefits are connected to participation in the city health program. So let me know.
What makes everything difficult to follow is all unions are not the same in terms of what they offer and how they offer it. And there are, 102 unions? So
In the MLC.
yeah, so it's not all the same.
Melinda, remind me of which actual booklet. Did you get the actual booklet that I sent you? I don't know which actual booklet you're talking about, and I'm so sorry.
Yes. Melinda, I got it.
Oh, thank you. We just get so much mail. I just sometimes I feel like a robot. This may be naive, but how do we go about even begin looking for a Medigap plan? So insurance salespersons, and you want a reputable sales agent. Some people were looking at AARP. Some people don't like AARP because AARP also sells Medigap plans. Medicare Advantage plans. So you're looking for a reputable insurance agent. And an insurance agent would be able to tell you about Medicare type plans.
You might also want to consider talking to two insurance agents, because an insurance agent will only guide you to the ones that they represent.
Insurance companies that they represent.
Companies that they are connected with. They will not tell you about something else. So you might want to look for two different. And also there are a few that do not get a commission. Most of them work on commission. There are some that will give you sessions, one-to-ones for a flat fee. But you got to do your own research.
Those are
and find
consultants,
that.
not agents, though. That's totally different. You're talking about a consultant versus an agent. Insurance agents don't typically charge you for consultations because they make their money on selling the
On
policy,
selling
which is
the
why they want to
policy.
pressure you to buy the policy. So Fran asks, if senior care contract is over in September and there is a TRO, will the senior care continue after September? Yes, it will, because what the TRO does is stops everything in its place. And so what you have, the status quo remains. If you go out on a disability pension, are you affected by this new Medicare Advantage plan? So Kathleen, if you are on disability and under 65, depending what state you are in, you may have trouble getting a Medigap plan. That's how that would affect you. Also, the Medicare Advantage plan has a network and prior authorizations. And if your doctors are not in that network, you also may have trouble. The Medicare and You Guide lists state SHIP that can help explain Medigap choices. Yes, Karen, that's a very good idea. Your state SHIP with Supplemental Health Insurance Plan Office, every state has one, should be able to guide you with Medigaps. That would be a good place to start. Thank you, Karen. Great idea. Thank you for reminding me. So Beverly, so I'm in CSA. I was told by Mark Bronsky that we will not lose our welfare fund benefits. So I'm glad to hear that, because in the contract I saw, it absolutely did connect them. So I'm glad to hear that he's telling you that that's not the case. And if you would tell me who Mark Brodsky is that like your welfare fund manager? If someone has filled out the first affidavit survey and has also been contacted by the legal team and asked to stand by, does that person need to fill out the second affidavit? I would say yes, because the information in the second affidavit is different than the information in the first. So you may not have met the criteria for the first affidavit, but you might meet it in the second. Can someone please tell me what a tool is?
I think it's meant
I came into the chat late after you explained it. Please tell me. I'm so sorry to ask you twice, but I don't understand the meaning of it. Well, Pat, tool can have a few different meanings, but the one I was referring to was there is an Etna link. I call it a tool, but it is a link on the Etna website, and it is the city of CONY.MedicareAdvantage.com. That there's a link to find your doctors, to look up doctors. So you can go to that link and find your physicians, look up your physicians. If you don't find your physicians there, and then you call them, because you cannot rely on that tool or link or database that your doctors are in there, because we learned this the last time. If the link does not show that your doctor's in the network or is in the network, when regardless what it shows, call the doctor, because one of the things we learned is that what might be on the database isn't reality. Linda McCool says, can you please post the emails to you and Marion and Michelle? I'm just going to say, send your love to Michelle at retirees at nycretirees.org.
This is a reminder.
Doesn't his Medicare come out of his Social Security? Medicare premium does come out of your Social Security check unless you're not on Social Security. Then you get a bill.
Kathleen says, if you go out on disability pension, are we affected by this new Medicare Advantage plan? If you go out on a disability pension, but you file for Social Security and you get your Medicare, then yes, you're affected by this. You have to be on Medicare and disability.
Bob, I am not familiar that the Delaware judge denied the Medigap plan unless that happened this afternoon, because I was on that call this morning. So please advise me what you're saying, because unless that happened this afternoon, and I am not aware that there was court this afternoon for Delaware, because we're helping that team with their case as well. No, there is no further word on AOC supporting us yet.
Hold on, somebody answered that. Lisa Lawrence said it is temporary, state appealed, and the temporary order was upheld. That was Lisa's response to that.
Delaware?
What
Yeah.
did she say?
Lisa said it is temporary, state appealed, and the temporary order was upheld.
So they're still protected then?
Yeah. I guess.
Michael Addington says, does the once in a lifetime choice to change plans apply to opting out of the Coney Aetna Medicare? What would you use your once in a lifetime in? Unless you're in one, there's really nothing for you to use right now. For you to use that right now, I would definitely hold on to that. I mean, a lot of people lost that by bouncing around last year. Tell me how you would like to use that, Michael, so I understand. Because if you're opting out, you're opting out, which is actually waiving your benefits, or you're opting to go into HIP VIP. So clarify that a little more. Gail says, can we talk directly to Emblem Senior Care about continuing with them, or it must be through a broker? No, you should be able to call them directly, actually. So George said, a friend of mine said she saw something that the Empire contract expires at the end of the year, and the city is looking at bids from 3 companies for dependents not of Medicare age. Well, yeah, George. So last year they put out an RFP, request for proposal, for the under 65 and the active worker plans. We've been saying this for over a year that they are coming after the active worker plans, and we're not kidding. They did the RFI last July. They put out the RFP, I think it was October, November, and they are right now narrowed that down to like 4 choices, and they've been negotiating that plan for like the last 2 weeks. So yes, they absolutely, and we keep telling the active workers, get involved and push back on your union leadership, because they will probably eliminate most of their healthcare choices too. And according to what I saw, the Etna plan that they want to offer them is called a PPO, but it looks more like an HMO, kind of like ours.
Yep. And Elterman spoke with Emblem, and they said that their Medigap Plan F is like senior care.
If we need to opt out, will it be like the last time, opting out of the nonsense just to stay in Medicare? Kinda, Martin, but what I would say is wait for direction from the organization. One thing you've learned about us is, me and Michelle have been in emergency services our entire life. We don't freak out. We don't go like running, screaming. We don't get all hysterical. We kind of sit here very matter-of-factly, lay everything out to you and how things need to be planned, and we prepare you. We've done this now several times. So I want you all to relax and not stress out. Do your homework, do your research, get your answers, And that way you can breathe, because it's going to be several weeks before things start to happen, but at least your work is done. And then look, the weather's getting nicer. You can get out a little bit, and the people that are doing the hard work is the lawyers and us.
And you got to remember, there's going to be a difference between opting out and waiving your benefit.
Right.
Okay, because opting out will opt you out into the HIP VIP plan. So you have to be careful, especially if you're in the 5 boroughs and the surrounding counties. Okay, so you have to be careful with that. So once the instructions come out and we figure that out, we'll let you know.
We'll
how to-
walk you through it when it's time. So Martin says, is this going to happen every year? We just went through this. Well, knowing that they could be sons of bitches, I would probably be prepared to go through this every year.
Oh, no, no, we're not doing this every year.
No, we're going to try to stop that. That's what the legislation we're working on is. But I'm saying to you, I'm pulling your leg. I'm saying to you, just understand their goal is to try to finance themselves. The unions don't want to be paying premium, and they thought they'd sell you off in order to keep them premium free. Notice now that 2 unions did not mention, well, one union mentioned the 2018 MLC agreement, the other one didn't. They both said that they continues them with premium free healthcare, but they never mentioned the bad things that came along with it, like selling off your current retirees and their future health plans. They never said that. So unfortunately, we have to keep saying it because they're not, and that's the truth. The 2018 MLC agreement gave them all premium free healthcare, continued because they sold off us. Keep saying it, say it loud, skywrite it, send it to your union, tell your active union workers, tell your kids to share it with their coworkers. That's exactly what they did. Yes, you have premium free healthcare because you sold off mom and dad.
Yep.
And grandma and grandpa. Thanks, guys. I will call Mark Brodsky and Susan Barone next week to just confirm that for us. And I will try to pull up that the last CSA contract. If any of you have the most recent CSA contract, send it to Michelle or myself, please. Because the one that I do have absolutely says that. And yes, Elizabeth, CWA 1180 told me I would lose all union benefits and Medicare reimbursement and IRMA. 100%. We also called and we were like, well, does Gloria know this? And they were like, well, Gloria knows now. I'm like, that's real nice that Gloria could vote for something that screwed over her own people. So yay, Gloria. Unbelievable. This is why we say stop rushing to vote on this stuff. They should do their due diligence and speak to their employees about it. Tommy, you found Old Rasputin, one of my favorite beers. I hope you like it because it's one of my favorites. Larry O'Reilly says UFT Welfare Fund pays for several things, glasses, but Medicare Senior Care pays for procedures, surgeries. Okay, so the UFT Welfare Fund pays for your vision, your dental, and your hearing aids, not your medical plan. It's completely separate. You get that through the city. I got your attention. Don't worry. You could yell if you want to. You have a totally different meaning of tool. I told you there were several. It was just in which context were we speaking?
Oh, right.
Michael Mulgrew is a tool.
You know what's going to happen.
I know. Gonna hurt his feelings. He's gonna cry. And then Randy Weingarten's gonna call me again and yell at me. You hurt Mikey's feelings. Boo-hoo. Put on your big girl panties. When I called CWA 1180, I was told I would only lose my drugs. My friend told me we lose all benefits. CWA needs to get their representatives on the same page. Hey, Joanne, call again because I do believe you do lose everything. Your entire welfare fund benefits are tied to you being in the city healthcare plan. And And they found out about that right around the same time we did.
Etna is a tool, Mulgrew is a tool. Love it, Rona. Stool, Renee said stool.
Well, he's that too. You guys are funny. Dan says PBA, you won't lose your welfare fund, eyeglass, dental, or prescription. You will lose the Medicare reimbursement for Part B if you take your Medicare and you have to buy your own supplement. Yep. Thank you, Dan. We're familiar with that. James says, are we helping any others in addition to Delaware? We are helping a few other retiree organizations because they keep reaching out to us. We did get another phone call from another group of retired union workers from California that asked us to help them too. I just got to go through all their documents. I'm hoping I can get through that this weekend. Steve, just go onto AOC's website. You can email her through there. I don't have one. But you know what? If you don't, you should go to her website and email her directly. But we will also start rolling out probably, I need another week or two to start rolling out emails to the congressional leaders. So just give us a little more time. You'll see like Henri in this page. Henri is from Delaware. She's in our page because she's kind of working with what we're doing here and duplicating it in her page in Delaware. But we are working together with her and Lisa to do a national campaign soon. We don't want that on our page. Our page has to stay focused to the New York City fight. So we created a separate page to do the national fight. That's that NOSOM, NOSOM page. Just keep your eye on it. We'll let you know when it's time to go over there. We're working on that letter. Once it's out, it'll be an Action Network link. And then all you got to do is click it and poof, it goes to every one of your federally elected officials. Margaret says, can you please share more information about the affidavit and what it's for? Well, the affidavit is asking you for some very specific information so that you can do an affidavit for in the case. The information goes directly to the lawyers, not anybody else. The legal team will look at it and determine if your answers fit the criteria of what we need, and then they will contact you. You will probably get a phone call from Alexa Jordan from Pollock Cohen to tell you that she needs to speak with you, or an email, a phone call or an email. So Alexa's typically handling that from Pollock Cohen, and that's what that is for. It is for the lawsuit. So if they feel that some of your answers were what we needed, then they will call you. Gerald, the answer on that is no. So Renee says that Emblem does not have a Medigap for people outside of New York. I sent a scathing email to Neisna and CC'd you guys. When you find that, send that to me. Thank you. Rhonda, what does AOC stand for? Alexandria Ortiz or Ocasio-Cortez. Ocasio-Cortez. Okay. She is a congresswoman.
So Ann Kaplan says, can we opt out of union dues?
As a retiree?
Yeah.
Are you a retiree?
I'm just gonna have to answer again.
Well, whether you're a retiree or an active worker, the answer on that is yes.
Yes, she's a retiree.
The answer on that is absolutely yes. You are not under any obligation as a retiree to pay a union dues, because under the state law, under city collective bargaining, they cannot represent you. Lainey, 237, do you lose your welfare fund benefits? I need to definitely talk to you if that's true. Pat says June 30th is the opt-out date. That is the day that is the end of the window to determine whether you want to opt out into HIP VIP or waive your city benefits. I am again not going to discuss litigation at this point on this page on a public forum, Pat. So you will wait for us to give you direction, but I'm going to tell you all of the things that you're hearing us say to you should tell you what we're leading up to. I just can't discuss that here, and I can't discuss that now. So just breathe with me. You know, it's funny. I sit here and I inhale lavender buds. They're like, I don't know, $1 in the drugstore. And they got a bunch of little holes on the back and I just sniff them. You need to relax.
Those are not bad salts.
That might burn my nose.
Oh, yeah.
I love lavender. Like I could squeeze it and it just smells so good. Relax, Pat. We got you.
Gerald's like, is that like catnip?
No. Well, maybe.
We're here with you guys. Listen, you know, I mean, this is just ridiculous what they're doing.
Mary, I do not know if Local 891 loses all benefits. I'm going to ask you to call Local 891, and I'm also going to ask you to ask them for a copy of their welfare fund agreement, if they have a welfare fund. Those are the two things you can look at. Ask them, call them and ask them to prove it to you. You want a copy of the contract and their welfare fund agreement. And then you can send those to me and Michelle, and we'll tell you for sure. Just don't tell them you're giving them to us. And they'll only know if they're watching this.
Well, of course, somebody's going to be watching us.
That's okay.
They're always watching. We got eyes everywhere.
So as we're moving along, I'm going to give my usual spiel.
Yep.
Please keep the money coming. We need money. Lawyers cost money.
So knowing this weekend, I will probably catch up to the rest of the emails. So if you did not hear from me, that's because I've been hovering around the 200 marker on the emails. So it will get to you. But again, all the info you guys have been sending has been great. So thank you. Yeah, what else we got? Oh, thanks, Mike, for putting up the donation info.
Joni Rafferty, for all those who have CCS Medical for their Freestyle Libre glucose monitoring system for diabetes, I was told by them today when I asked, would they take the Etna plan? Her answer was they would decide after it goes into effect September 1st. Joni, could you please contact the plan to find that out? Can you please call the Etna number to find that out? And let us know, let Michelle know what you find out. Lorraine,
Right.
There's a link to complete the affidavits in the featured section of our Facebook page.
Carolyn Greenwood, you can to send your email address, just send me an email and I'll send you the link to fill out. Are you talking about how to sign up for the newsletter? You could just send it to the org address and I'll send you the link to sign up. If that's
Pat, again, I cannot answer when the litigation will start. I'm answering the question. We're not answering the question here. We're not answering the question when litigation will start or when things will be filed. That is up to the attorneys to announce to us, and we will announce to you. All you need to do, Pat, please, is do what we're asking you to do, is do your homework. Find out what you want to do, find out how this plan will affect you, find out how, if Plan B had to be put into effect, what your options are. That's what you need to worry about. We will worry about everything else, and then we will update you as we have more information to do so. You can keep asking the question after that. I'm not going to keep answering it. It's the same answer. But you have to respect that information, Pat. I'm sorry.
I know she gets a little,
I know she does, but she does this every week. She gets herself worked up, and it's not right. It's not right for her, and it's not right for everybody else. Deborah Murray, at today's in-person meeting in Tampa, they said that they will offer a Medigap plan without underwriting, and they stressed that you would be able to return to a Medigap plan if you didn't like the city's Advantage plan. That's not entirely correct. Yes, of course they want to sell you a Medigap because they know you're probably not going, they know you're going to have a problem with the Medicare Advantage plan, and they still want your money. So you're gonna end up waiving your city health benefits, still purchasing a plan from them. Yeah. Etna did not say that their Medigap plan without underwriting is limited to New York. I know because at the Putnam in-person meeting, there were retirees from Connecticut, which Etna was aware about. So what are you saying, Ellen, that they're saying that they would give any city of New York retiree a Medigap plan with no underwriting anywhere in the country? Susan, go look at the link and you'll see the questions. Chamomile tea will relax you. Miriam, I'm sitting here having a bunny shot. It is a hollowed out bunny with Bailey's on the inside. Oops, and I just spilled my alcohol. Can anyone compile a union list of which unions will continue? I don't know if we have time to do that, Lisa, but you are welcome to take that on if you'd like to. Gail, I actually do spray my pillow with lavender. No, Bob, that doesn't seem to be having any effect. It doesn't seem like anyone seems to care that Aetna is under investigation for Medicare fraud, but it matters to us and we're going to keep saying it. Roberta Carp, please make sure you complete the affidavit request that's on the featured section of our page because that issue should be discussed. Deborah Scott, you do not lose your DC 37 welfare fund benefits if you waive your city health plan to stay in traditional Medicare. We're still working the city council, Ellen. That'll be coming up probably soon, is another campaign on them, but we're still working on that. Gwen says, I'm drinking a nice cup of chamomile tea while watching. I have catnip here too if needed.
Oh, I have a whole big jug of catnip here.
Do you?
Yeah, it's kitty crag.
That's very funny. How can we send you our email address? You already answered that.
Right, yeah. Okay, so somebody did answer Pat. So yes, there is a difference between opt out and waive rights. Okay, so if you opt out, you will, depending if you live in the 5 boroughs or the surrounding counties, you will go into HIPVIP. If you waive your insurance out of the city benefits, then you need to get a Medicare plan on the open market. So it's a twofold. Once we have that information on how it works, then we will let you know.
So Gerald says, how many more days before Landers has to rule on the MA plan? Well, shocking to us too, we learned today that he does not even have the contract. So this is another reason why we keep saying to you, don't post stuff online, because if the city is watching, they're probably withholding that contract to try to fix stuff in it just so that it gets, you know, that they get to fix things in the contract that you might be pointing out. This is another reason why, knowing that the contract is not yet before the controller and he would have 30 days to review it. So that still hasn't happened.
Right.
Can anyone put a list of all the unions that represented the retirees on the website? I can only tell you which unions voted in the MLC. I don't even, you'd have to look at OLR's website to see who's got negotiated contracts. I don't have any way of finding that. We've foiled that information. The city refuses to give it to us. They feel it's confidential. So Lainey, Bruce is saying that the Etna, there was an Etna call-in seminar last week exclusively for 237. And the Etna rep said that the welfare fund will be untouched. Coming from Etna, one must be skeptical. So Lainey, I need to know the difference. If that's the same union you're talking about. I'm trying not to, Mary. Pat, that question's been answered several times. Ruth even just posted to it, so please go back and look. Thomas Frankel, I think that answer is yes. George, I don't know about the Taylor Law and sanitation workers question. I never looked that up, but you can Google that. I'm sure it'll come up. I was just in the Taylor Law today for something else, but I wasn't paying attention as to how it affected sanitation. It actually should affect all public employees the same way.
Right.
Barry, your answer to number 1 is yes. There is a healthy mix of both. You have to have that. We've had that now for 2 years. And I would say too, you should probably call me and messenger me, and we can discuss that outside. If someone is late in life disabled but not on Social Security disability, just Janet, that's like a half a statement, so I need the rest of it. Yes, Marcia, I do believe that they're making that confusing on purpose.
Of course they are. That's why I said exactly. They're doing that on purpose because people are
Yeah.
going to end up getting stuck in that hit VIP plan if they're living in those boroughs, in those counties.
Oh my gosh. What happens if the controller does not approve the Medicare Advantage plan? Well, Gail, even if he doesn't approve the contract, the mayor could override it. That would actually look kind of ugly on his part, especially if the controller comes out with reasons not to and the mayor forces it to happen. But we'll have to see. That's why we have litigation and legislation, because we just can't seem to just trust anybody. I don't think there's anyone in this mix that we can trust other than ourselves and our own legal team. Roberta says, why are some union welfare fund benefits covered if one's waive benefits and others not? Well, because in some of them, their welfare fund agreements with the city require you to be in the city health program in order to get your welfare fund benefits. So Maria asks, not sure how to phrase this, but do the unions get paid for having retirees on their welfare fund, if that makes any sense? Yes, actually, the city of New York gives a dollar amount to the unions every year. It's usually between like $1,700 and $2,500 a member and a retiree. So they give in some cases, the number might be slightly different. And in another, they are the same. And so just so you know, that amount goes to the union welfare fund for every active worker and for every retiree. So the answer on that is yes. Well, William, if you want to start that post, feel free. Let the moderators know that you're doing that and make sure it stays clean of commentary that does not pertain to the unions. I just don't have time to do that. Etna was saying there's only 48 states.
Well,
Gotta put them back in school.
oh, well, that's okay. Somebody
Well,
said
but
that
wait a
Alaska
second.
was a country.
But wait a second. You said one state that we know of that we talked about the other day has no coverage. Are there 2 states that have no coverage?
Well, no, but they said that Alaska was a country.
Oh, they did?
Somebody needs to learn geography.
Yes, they do need medical review for Medigap. That's called underwriting, Janet. So Al, I'm still waiting on an answer on that, but I'm learning you're not the only person in that situation. Give me until Monday to answer that question. Margaret, they can always move that deadline. The continuity of care forms. I would wait to send those in. Do not send them in yet. That can definitely be a last minute plan B option. Do not do that yet. If you want to fill it out, if you have to fill it out, if you have something going on, fill it out, but put that in your wait pile. Don't do that now pile. I know, Janet, but that actually might help us. So that's why we're saying to wait, because it typically takes 3 months and you're not going to have that. You may not have that. In some cases you might, but if it doesn't, you need more time. That's why that's not that. Just, I know what you're saying. So Karen Stephenson, so 4 states do not require medical review or underwriting. So those are 4 states with guarantee issue. It's New York, Maine, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. Managerial info is scant. Do you have any info on managerial benefits being lost if you leave the map? I would assume yes, because you're paying for those benefits. That's through MBF. So you would end up having to buy that on the outside. It's not like you're being given anything in your situation. And that's all I got. And it's almost an hour. It's an hour. So you want to, if anyone doesn't have anything pressing, I'm going to say, please go back and look at this video. Please look through all the questions. Make sure that you do your homework. You check out the link for the affidavit list. Fill out that. Remember, those answers go to the attorney, the legal team, not to anybody, you know, not to just any schmo. They are looking at those answers and they are determining whether or not you would qualify to do documentation for the case. If we waive, do we lose traditional Medicare and senior care? Well, Linda, that's ending. If we lose the case, that would be ending. So you would have to waive to get out of the Aetna plan, but then you would potentially lose your welfare fund benefits depending what union you're in. You've got to go back to the beginning and watch all this, because I'm trying to close this and I don't want to spend another 15 minutes on here, but
Right.
go back and look at the beginning of this video. It explains that waiving your benefit means you're leaving the city healthcare plan to remain traditional Medicare. Opting out means you're opting out of Medicare Advantage and going into HIP VIP, and that's only available in 10 counties of New York.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's
But
10.
Bob, they're both important. There's not one more important than the other, although I think we'd probably get further with the judge than we would the council at this point.
Right.
So that said, make sure that you are completing that affidavit link. Make sure you're doing your homework. You're going to call and make sure you prepare yourself over the next couple of weeks. You've got time to do this, that you do your plan B in case worst case scenario happens, that you are prepared in case we're not successful with the TRO. You're going to do that homework. Still continue to call your doctors and your hospitals to see if they are in the network of the Aetna Medicare Advantage PPO plan for City of New York. And then if you have any concerns or issues, contact us via email. Please do not post information about the lawyers. the legal conversations or any of the case information or your doctor information on our Facebook page. It will be deleted. You need to make sure you understand that this is a war that we are in, and people are kind of bad actors here and looking to glean whatever information they can to use against us. So let's not give them anything to use. So that said, thank you, the moderators.
Yes, thank you, moderators.
Thank you,
Yes,
Joe.
Always.
Joe. Thank you, everybody out there for, standing with us and supporting us. And again, as I always say, without you, we wouldn't be here. And again, shame, 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 shame on you people out there that don't, say bad things, because we fact check everything.
We're going to pick up a Zoom right after this call so you could fill me in, and I'll Zoom you right back when we disconnect.
Yes.
But go back and look at this. This is an hour-long video. Go back and look at it. After we're done, I'll upload it up to YouTube. Hopefully it'll go up quicker this time because I got a new computer after going through withdrawal for 2 days. And then hopefully you'll be able to see that as well. So hang in there, guys. Follow us through this. We got your back on this. We're working real hard to make sure that you guys have can go back to a stress-free retirement, right? The most important thing, right? And then we can probably have like yoga sessions instead of like, debriefing stressful sessions and sniffing lavender packets.
All righty. So you guys enjoy your weekend, and we will see you on Monday.
Good night.
Love you guys. Ciao. If I can click the end button, there you go. Ciao.